My name is Christian. I went to MIT. I was on a lecturer gig there for a year afterward, teaching freshmen some introductory stuff. So I teach, I drink coffee, I'm Cuban, so that kind of runs in my blood. And dancing should too, but it doesn't seem to in my case. I don't know what's up. I also work at a small tech startup, biotech, and we make lasers, and I write some of the code that makes us talk to the laser. And I also do other things that demonstrate rather a lack of common sense. This is me heating up my coffee with a heat gun. Anyone have any thoughts on why this might be a bad idea? Yes, okay, thermal expansion. I guess that's true. There's one that's a bit more painful, the result of this one. Yes, it's going to be hot, right? So this thing is meant to keep the outside away from the inside. So what I basically did was I made the outside very hot and I burnt my hand, but my coffee was just still sad and cold, I should say. But all of this to say that before I was doing things like burning my hand while trying to do something as innocent as heating up coffee, I was a teenager, much like all of you, I suppose. And when I was around 13, found this video on YouTube, and YouTube was still early on in the days. There were no ads. It was a nice place to be. And I found this video. The video is Noah takes a picture of himself every day for 6 years. And when I saw it, it kind of blew my mind. This is the video. I'm just going to show a little snippet of it. And this goes on for a while. Also, can you all hear the music? I'm not sure if the music is piping through. Yes, okay, so you're all being even more reminded of your own mortalities, I suppose. All right, so when I saw the video, a couple of things hit me. But one of them was I discovered that this guy started taking a picture of his face every night when he was 19. And I thought, wait a second, 19? So much has happened by the time you're 19. I'm about to begin puberty. I knew what I was in for. So at the age of 13, I decided that I would begin to take a picture of my face. This is night number 1, 18th of September of 2008. That's me. That's my little sister in the background. And at the time, I was 13. This is the 19th of September of 2008. This is the 20th of September of 2008. And so on and so forth. I still do this to this day every night. Well, not every night. Occasionally I miss. Sometimes I go after midnight, and I have to admit I do change the name of the file so it's the night before, just to have that on there. And essentially the idea is I've got all these pictures of my face, and I figured someday I'm going to do something with this that will be cool, but I didn't know quite what it was. So the years kept going by. This is year 1. This is the very first day. This is 4 years later. That's my little sister, a little bit less little now. You should see her now. She's 19, 18. Well, it feels like she's 19, I suppose. Yeah, everyone gets old. But what I'm getting at is, I have a question for all of you, which is, why might it not be a good idea to make a time lapse out of these photos as they are now? Other than being reminded that death is inevitable and everything is, actually, that's not really how I see it anyway. But anyone have any thoughts on what a time lapse might look like if I just made it with these pictures like this? Your face isn't centered. The faces are all in different positions. Yeah, oh, you guys figured that out really quickly. Yeah. Gustavo over there, and Samuel, and Mary Lee. Yeah, Mary Lee, lighting. That's another really good one as well. And that's become kind of the bane of my existence. But if I have a chance, I'll talk about that as well. My face is in different positions each day. And as a result, you know, a time lapse like that would be kind of jarring. In fact, the video on YouTube was a bit jarring because his face also wasn't in the same spot. Now, I used to try to fix this when I was around the 8th grade later on by you know, moving the picture around in preview on the Mac. And what I would do is I would pad the edges of the image so that there wouldn't be a black border around it. You learned about padding when you were doing convolution, so this might be a little bit familiar. If you notice there, the fork in my essay on Cuban food gets stretched just a bit too much, right? And that's the padding at work. But although I used to align them manually, one night I was tired and I said, oh, I'm sleepy, I'll just do this tomorrow. And by the time I realized I was sitting with 14 years of untouched pictures. And so my goal, and the goal of part of this talk anyhow, is to talk about how we can take pictures like this, right, and align them. So let me bring this a little bit closer. Let me make things bigger, and actually let me make myself smaller here so I'm not obstructing the view too much. So this is a picture of me taken in 2017, spring of 2017, and this is a picture of my face taken in the fall of judging from that dorm room and that shirt, I'm going to go with 2015. And what I want to do is I want to align these two pictures together. So let's remember that, oh, camera quality, that's another variable as well. What I want to do is I want to align these. Now, let me do this the naive way and just splash them together, right? Do these look aligned? Like this is one of those Dora the Explorer questions where the voice in the behind the screen just shouts, no, right? Yes, they're not aligned, right? You can see my eyes are up here in one of them. Now I wish I was taller and lower there, right? So, and the mouth, oh, it's a mess. It's some abstract. Make this into an NFT because of how wacky it is and see how many ether we can get. Different heights of face, right? That sort of thing. So our goal is going to be to turn this into this. And my question to you is, how do you think we could do it? How do we do it? And that is to say, how can we align two pictures? People want to shout as well. I got to kind of tilt my head to see the chat. Anyone have any thoughts on aligning two pictures? So what can differ from one picture to the other? We talked about lighting. What are some other things that can differ? Yes, so someone said crop it to match the scales, right? So there are a bunch of different factors at play. Now, rather than just, I was going to make a drawing originally, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run a quick little demo. Give me 1 sec over here. And what I'm going to run is the following. This is part of the code that I wrote. And what this code is going to do is it's going to use AI, some basic pre-trained machine learning model, kind of like what we've talked about in this class, to process each frame of video coming from my camera. And it's going to detect some important features of my face. So let's see if all works well. We're going to see, there we go. This is my face. I got to look here. I can't look at you there because of it. It'll stop detecting my face. And you'll notice we've got a bunch of facial landmarks showing up. Now, it's doing other stuff too, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But essentially, you see a bunch of dots, right, at different parts of my face. And what I want to focus on are the dots around my eyes. Okay, so keep this image, keep this mental image. I'm going to close this. My question for all of you is, if I have the positions of the dots around my face, what do you think I could do that could be useful with regard to aligning the pictures? Yes, so someone said, Mary Lee, yeah, have you seen this before? Have you been following me? Right, align the eye position and face, aligning the location of the dots, easier to align, beautiful. So the way I do it is very, very much related to this. Let me go ahead and switch to iPad view, and I guess I'll show this. This is a quick little drawing that I made. All right, let's have a look at this. So this is a picture of someone's face. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the distance between the eyes. What do you think the distance between the eyes can tell me? I think, Luis, you mentioned it earlier. If I know the distance between my two eyes, what does that give you a sense of? Distance from the camera, right? If I'm right here, the number of pixels between my left and right eye is going to be pretty big compared to how it is here. So distance of eye tells me how far away I am from the camera. There's something else. If I draw a vector, right, just figure out the difference in position between my two eyes, then I can also figure out the angle, right? And what do you think the angle of my eye, one eye relative to the other, can tell you? If my eyes are slanted like this, then was it only my eyes that moved? How tilted my face is, right? So who said that? That was Sungmyung. Yes, so that also tells you that. And the very last thing is the midpoint of the area between the eyes. So this over here. And so if I have the midpoint of the area between the eyes, I can just think of that as like the center of my face, then I know where my face is. And if I have a new target center and the new target eye size, right, and an angle that I want to make it, which is ideally straight, then I can take all of this up and I can do, oh, hang on. There we go. So I'm going to adjust my image so that that's the case here, and that the distance between the eyes is roughly the same. And I'm going to rotate so that the angle of the eyes is 0. And by doing that, my face is going to be in the same spot each time. So I'm going to run this on my face over here with the points showing up, and you'll see that if I get closer and further away, the image is compensating. Now, video is just like pictures. It's a bunch of frames, so I can do this live. Beautiful. All right. Excellent. And so by doing this, it's basically 3 steps: translating, scaling, and rotating. Let me just go to presenting MacBook Pro. Beautiful. So that's what we've got. This is what the time lapse looks like. So this is basically that principle at work. Again, I can stack these together and I know I'm good now. Wait, iPad to vanish. Beautiful. All right. So I have a folder in my desktop with all these pictures, and now let's let it rip. Here we are. And I always encourage people to take pictures of their face every day because it's really cool what you can do with it. So this is me when I was in the 8th grade, going further up, getting into, I think 9th grade here. Oh, actually, I'm already in high school. This goes really quickly. And I think at some point I start in college over here. Too many faces of mine. Let me get out of the way here. All right, and this goes on for a while. I also applied a little vignette around my face. And the idea is that the background becomes less distracting. Now the lighting is still different, but notice how the eyes are right there and aligned. Very cool. All right. Well, I thought it was cool anyway. And the reason I thought it was cool is because programming felt so esoteric to me for the longest time. And I only was really interested in programming once I applied it to something I wanted to do for myself rather than to, I guess, an assignment. So libraries you need for this, NumPy, OpenCV, dlib, these are Python libraries. You'll see this later on in life. But it's worth mentioning that if you import these libraries, it already has the pre-trained AI models built in. So you can run stuff like this with image recognition and face detection and whatnot, like I did here, with relative ease.